A claps.
Poppin' T Squad, it's me Keisha, and I'm here with tonight's All Tea All Shade P Valley Season 1 Episode 6 review. Lord, this episode was a doozy, child. Woo, Lord. Letting you guys know, for the T Squad members that like to listen to my review before they watch the episode, if you want to be shocked like everybody else was, I would advise you to go watch the episode and then come back to my review. Because, baby, whoo, Jesus, let's get into it. So tonight's episode starts off on some freaky deaky eeky shit. We see Diamond and Big Bone bumping uglies, honey. Based off this sex scene, I can see very much why Miracle Watts and Tyler Lipley are a couple and expecting their first child together. I noticed though he ain't show his Peter Weeder like everybody else been showing they Peter Weeder. But the sex is great. She's into it, and he is staring off into space. He doesn't want to look at her. She's forcing him to stare down at her. But every time he does, all he sees is Keyshawn calling his name, because that is his true love. That is who he wants to be with. So he ends up flipping her over so he can't see her face, and that's when he nuts. So when he gets up, she says, "You always nutting in that condom. I want it in my mouth." And I said, well, all right. You know, you can't take her home to mama. We know she a slide. So he gets up. She follows him butt naked. And she's in his like kitchen area, whatever. And she sees his altar that he has set up, and on one of the crystals she spots Montavious' ring. And so at this point, it is clarified and verified at this moment that she either knows Montavious and his crew and got ties to them, or she was sent by Montavious' crew to see if they can find out anything about Montavious being missing. Because remember, Montavious let it be known last season that his folks would come looking for him eventually. So this whole storyline with Montavious is not over by any means necessary. Somebody gonna have to answer for him being missing, especially when they find out that he is deceased. So she's gonna end up going back and telling whomever from Montavious' crew that that man ring was in Diamond's house. So some bullshit about to come to Diamond's door. And I'm like, ain't this some bullshit? Diamond just can't get a break when it comes to these hoes and they niggas. So she actually goes to try to touch the ring, but he ends up coming in to the kitchen and she stops. So she makes a comment about how he tried to save a hoe that don't want to be saved at the club. And he was like, how you know? And I was like, why are you telling yourself, dumbass? And she was like, I could tell by your eyes. Like, I can tell when I look at you. Like, when we fucking, my nigga, I need for you to focus on moi. And he was like, well, shit, let's go. Round 2, bitch. And then they go off to do. And we see a whole bunch of people parking lot pimping, dancing, drinking, got their cars out doing donuts and everything. And we spot Big Teak sitting on the back of one of the cars with his shirt off, showing his tattoos. He's living life. He living it up. And Murda pulls up in a brand new car. I don't know if it was Camaro or one of them hood nigga cars, but they had it wrapped up in like the camouflage colors that the Hurtville hustlers wear. So the whole crew got together to get him get Teak that car as a, you know, thank you for holding it down while you was in jail type shit, you home, whatever. And so Teak cries when he gets in the car. And at first, when I was watching the episode, I thought it was because of gratitude, you know, and I think that was a part of it. But knowing how the episode ended, it was because, like, damn, like, there are people out there that really do fuck with me and love me. But he knew that this car, like, this was going to be the only day he got to enjoy it because he knew what he was going to end up doing. So Murda was just like, tighten up, like, you good or whatever, not knowing that this was in the back of his mind the whole time. He just thinking that dude just grateful and emotional or whatever, and he telling him, to tighten it up or whatever. So then we go to the club, and Big L has turned off the water, and Haley comes running out with her towel, begging him to, not even begging him, demanding him to turn the water back on, because she's still been sleeping at the club. Cliff is there, and he was like, where you going? Where you going with this red Jessica Rabbit dress? And she snatched her dress and like, mind your goddamn business. They are still at war. He's trying to figure out what the hell Autumn is up to, because he know her sneaky ass is up to things. So him and Big L are in the office, and the conversation of roulettes and Whisper dancing at the spades tournament that they're having that night come up. And I'm like, how they having a spades tournament and the club's supposed to be closed down, and they had flyers and stuff? Like, I didn't understand that, unless it was supposed to be like some after dark type shit where it was like invites only. I didn't really understand that part. But anywho, they gonna be at the club, goddammit. So Big L ends up telling Clifford that Duffy's back in town, and Clifford was like, I don't like this little business y'all got going on. It's plug business. So I didn't know until he said that he knew what they were doing with the whole Oxy shit. I didn't know that he knew that they was bringing that shit into his club. I didn't know that until this episode. So then we go back to Big Teak and Murda, and Big Teak is getting his hair cut, and the barber is using this technique where he gets like a lighter or whatever, and it's burning his hair on the ends to get that precise like shape that he wants. His hair looked bomb as fuck when he was done. I've just never seen that technique before, and I love how Katori always introduces us to some shit that we ain't never seen before. So when he gets done getting his hair cut, the barber was like, here, shit, you look casket ready. A fucking foreshadow of what was going to happen later on in this episode, especially when you go back and watch it after you see what happens, and the look on Teak's face when he said that. Lil Murda is on his phone, and he makes a comment about like being shocked that Rome died. He still don't know at this point that Wody had anything to do with it. And then his phone rings, and it's none other than Keyshawn calling him. He like, fuck, like I finally got her to call me back. He been trying to hit her up ever since the tour ended. So she goes on to tell him that, Rome tried to rape her or whatever. And he was like, well, shit, I'm glad that nigga did. And then she goes on to tell him that, I told Wody that he knew about y'all. And so now Murda like, knew what? Like, huh? Like the fuck? So now he looking like, did my homie kill this nigga for me? Like, when I do get on, I'm gonna have to get this nigga a raise. And then as they're talking, Derek entered the room, was like, who you on the phone with? And so she was like, I gotta call you back. And she was like, I was on the phone with Murda. He was calling me about Rome and the funeral. He was like, yeah, he was a good dude or whatever. And so he tells her he about to go somewhere and asks her, do she want to go? And she was like, can't. I have a black eye, busted lip, bruised up face. Don't think I can quite go out like this, sir. This nigga up here walking around looking like Chewbacca, looking like a goddamn grizzly bear. So he like, oh, okay. And he leaves out. And I'm like, this nigga here got to go. When are we going to kill this nigga? Because I am sick of him. So then we go back to the barbershop, and Teak is snatched, ready to go. Got on a little fly sweater set, got his jeans on, got his haircut. He looking good, smelling good and everything. So he like to Lil Murda, he was like, where you want me to drop you off yet? And dude was like, I'm just gonna ride around with you. And he was like, where you want me to drop you off at? He was like, shit, like, unless you got something else you want to do. Is this something else you want to tell me? Like, you got another boo thing? Like, what the fuck is going on? So he was like, all right, man, you can roll with me. So Murda looking at him like, what the fuck? Like, nigga, you don't want me to ride with you? Like, what the fuck is going on? So at that moment, I knew that dude had something very important that was going to take place this day. I never expected it to be what it ended up being, but I knew that something shocking was going to happen because he was so anxious to get away from Lil Murda. So then we go to see Mercedes stopping by Shell's house to bring groceries. She goes inside. They ain't got no food in the refrigerator. Shit is moldy. It's a trash can full of wine bottles and shit. Shell still don't think she got a problem. Shell still don't think she need to go to rehab or nothing. She just feel like she need a job. And Mercedes was like, girl, you called Terica a mistake the other night. Like, girl. And so she started crying and was like, I would never do that. And I'm like, well, bitch, you did it. So Mercedes was like, you want me to take her for a little while? And then she stopped crying. I know what you're trying to do. You are not going to take her away from me. She was like, girl, I'm not trying to take her away from me, but she don't need to be around you like this. So she like, no, because there's a difference between being a mother and a parent. She was like, I raised her. Now I can understand where Shell is coming from because she has raised Terica. That is her daughter pretty much. But at the same token, you're not in a good space right now. You're not being a mother. This girl is literally over here running the streets doing whatever the fuck she want to do because you so damn pressed to hold this shit over Mercedes' head instead of allowing her to step in where you need help. So at this point, Mercedes was like, I'm just never going to be good enough for you. And she storms out and she immediately calls Terica and tells Terica to give her a call ASAP. Then Coach calls her and tells her that he needs that Mercedes experience because his wife keep on talking about it and he can't believe that, she was as into it as she was, but she liked seeing him that way. And she was, she's trying to play it off like, I just wanted to be me and you. And he was like, can't you just do this for me one time? So she like, all right, nigga, I'll be over there. But you could tell by the way she was looking when she got off the phone that this was not something that she wanted to do. Like, this shit is getting messy. I'm over here fucking the husband and the wife. What in the hell is going on here? And I'm thinking at this point, well, bitch, you need a goddamn extra tip. You need like 20% gratuity, bitch, to have to be playing these types of games. Then we see Murda and Teak at this little hole in the wall like diner, and their waitress is all up on Teak talking about he got pretty eyes and shit. And Murda was like, can you give me some water? Give me and him some water and get yourself some water too. You need it. I was like, oh, somebody done pulled their dick out on the table. Somebody is territorial. Okay. Jealous much? I like that on you. So then they get to reminiscing about their first date. And because Murda makes a comment like, I don't know about this bill. And so Teak was like, I got it. And he was like, shit, you acting like we on a date. And so that's what made them start reminiscing about a date that Lil Murda had set up for them in one of like the little closets or whatever in the jail. And I was like, oh, like you can tell like they were each other's first loves. Like they really had a connection in jail. Like they really loved each other and depended on each other. You know what I'm saying? And so Teak like stares off into space because he's sad because A, he knows what he's going to do later. And B, he knows that, yeah, that was then, but this is now, and he's moved on. And he even said it. He was like, but now you've moved on. And then he said, what's he like? And Murda said she. And he said, nigga, she. Like, you with a bitch? And Murda was like, nah, that's what, she likes to be called or whatever. And so Teak was like, well, shit, what else about her? This nigga. That line was hilarious to me. So then Murda gets explaining how Cliff is to him, like how he makes him feel. And he was like, Cliff like eating funnel cake at the fair, like an eclipse. But then he like goes silent and then he says, but I fucked up. And I was like, the way he was just describing Cliff and the look on Teak's face, like, I will never be that for him. Like, he cares for me. He probably even loved me, but he loved this other nigga. There's no more space for me in this man's life anymore. And that was probably another check mark of why he felt like he needed to do what he did to himself. So he says, yeah, seems like you do that a lot about fucking up. And Murda was like, I fucked up. And he reaches his hand across the table. And when he said I fucked up, it wasn't I fucked up messing around with Cliff. It was I fucked up by not telling you what it was when you got home. And so dude takes his hand away. And so Murda feeling like, shit, this nigga still feeling some type of way. But Teak ends up pinching his nose and was like, but you're forgiven. Because at this point, there's nothing for him to be mad about and hold on to. So that scene was just beautiful. The acting was stellar. The emotions that was conveyed through their facial expressions, through their eyes, through their words, everything was just excellent. Like, the acting on this show, man, I wish this show would get acknowledged when it comes to like the Emmys and the Golden Globes and the Critics' Choice Awards, because J. Alphonse is playing the fuck out of the Lil Murda character. We have seen so many different facets of this character, and it is amazing the work that he does with this character, as well as the guy that plays Big Teak. Even though he was only on this show for a few episodes, the impact from his character, that man is a great actor. You can tell he's a character actor, and he takes his work very seriously. I feel like that man, is going to have one hell of a career. I can't wait to see more from him. I'm gonna keep my eye on him. He is a phenomenal actor. So we go back to Keyshawn's house. She waits for Derek to pull off. As soon as he pulls off, she goes into the vent and pulls out the gun that she got from Haley, the little pink gun or whatever. So she grabbed the gun, she got the diaper bag ready to go, she grabbed the kids, she leaves the phone behind so he won't think she left and went anywhere. She goes out to her car, gets in the car, and the motherfucker won't start up. So she like, the fuck is going on? Goes and look in the trunk and see that he has did something to whereas the car won't start. So she realizes that he really got her stuck. He really got her fucking kidnapped, stuck, where she can't make a move without this nigga knowing. At that point though, fuck that. I would have started walking. I would have ran. I would have did something. I'm up out of here. I would have ran until I got to a payphone or somewhere to come call somebody so you come pick me up or something. But I would have left right then and there, because that nigga didn't come home for hours. I would have fucking dipped. Fuck that. But she is just like, I can't win. So she literally gets her kids and walks back into the house defeated. And I was like, that's so sad, because there's so many women that have been in that predicament where they can't leave, even though they've tried to, they are literally stuck. And it's the saddest thing ever to see. Lil Murda and Big Teak then pull up to the gas station to get some gas, and I was on pins and needles in this scene, because I thought that one of them was going to end up getting shot by somebody. Like, somebody was going to see them at the gas station, pull up on them and start dumping, or somebody was going to see them together and say or out them or something about being gay. I just knew something crazy was going to end up happening in this scene, but actually something good ended up happening in this scene. As they're pumping gas, Lil Murda ends up hearing himself on the radio. So this is the verse that DJ Never Scared had him do with the artist that he's been working with. So Lil Murda is on the radio with Tina, aka Tina Snow, aka Megan Thee Stallion. But on this show, she's playing her alter ego Tina Snow. That's going to be her character on the show, which I think is so cute. So of course he goes crazy, dumb crazy that this is happening for him. He jump up on the car. Everybody is videotaping him, and him and Big Teak have this moment where Lil Murda is bent down on the car, like just like taking it all in, like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm on the fucking radio. Like, shit is happening. Shit is moving for me. Like, oh my God. But then Big Teak is having a moment of, damn, my nigga is on the radio. Shit is happening for him, but I'm not going to be here to see it. We didn't know that, but that's what was going on in his head at that moment. Like, damn, like everything is coming together, but I won't be taking part in this. This will, I won't be around for this. So let me soak in this moment right here and right now, because this will be all that it is for me, which was so sad in hindsight. Like, oh my God, it was so sad. So then we go to the strip club, and the dude in the episode that Roulette had sucked off in the the Paradise Room, asked her to hook him up with Whisper, and he was like, he want to eat her out and this, that, and the third, and he'll pay her double. And she was like, shit, I wish I would have known I could have got double to lay on my back. But really the only reason why he wants to do all of that with Whisper is because she's of a different ethnicity. And so this episode played into the storyline of how black men prefer lighter skin or different ethnicity women over black women, because he was willing to do all of these sexual acts on her, on Whisper, and pay her double. Now pay her double for him to fuck on her and suck on her, whereas he only paid old girl to get down on her knees and top him off. So it was a mixture of that, as well as I felt like Roulette was also looking out for Whisper, because she told him, I don't think she get down like that. And he was like, shit, put her on for me. Like, go over there and go holler at her. So I think it was also a thing of her knowing she was about to put Whisper in a dangerous situation, and her feeling uncomfortable about setting her friend out in that type of way. So Roulette's character is very, very complicated. And I really like her character at this point because there's so many different layers to her. So we then see Brittany and Mercedes sitting on the couch. Coach is ready to go, honey. He ready to get this shit popping. And he ends up going into the kitchen to make his special drink to get his dick hard, child. And Brittany whispers in Mercedes' ear that she can't stop thinking about her. She feeling all in between her legs. And Mercedes like, girl, chill. Like, you cannot fuck up my bag. Like, he cannot know that we been bumping uglies. She was like, we need to act like nothing has ever happened between us. So the girl get herself in check and start acting like she know better. And Coach comes back in and was like, shit, let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. So him and his freaky ass wife tiptoeing their Jordans to the bedroom. And Mercedes got this look on her face like, oh my God, I don't feel like doing this shit. I don't feel like acting for these niggas. Like, this shit is so fucked up. Like, I'm literally carrying on a relationship with a married couple and one don't know about the other one. Like, this is some freak hoe shit. So then we see Autumn go to the masquerade party where Andre is speaking about his mayoral run. The white crowd ain't really feeling him. And then she steps in and was like, why do you think there is prosperity for all? And he answers about how, he grew up with a drug addicted mom and a father that passed away when he was only 7, and how he went to college and this, that, and the third. And that really gets a round of applause from the white audience, because white people love black trauma. Anybody that grew up in the ghetto and made a way out, or we'll cheer that. But they wouldn't cheer him when he was just speaking about all the facts and the things that he wanted to do. They love a ghetto tale, child, of struggle. So Corbin ended up running over her like, what the fuck are you doing here? Andre and like, what the hell are you doing here? I don't know what games you playing. They do not like that she's here, honey. And Corbin swiftly escorts her ass and that red wig the fuck out of there. Corbin getting on my nerves this season. I need for somebody to whoop Corbin's ass, because he done got a little taste of money and has lost his rabbit ass mind. You the same motherfucker that let your punk ass brothers pull a gun out on your ass. Did he pee on himself, if I'm not mistaken? If he didn't, he should have, because I'm like, you are not about that life, Corbin. I need for you to sit your punk pussy ass down somewhere. I'm sick of him. So then we see Diamond working the club with his goddamn BB gun. Roulette is watching Whisper dance for the dude Terrence. She keeping an eye on her. And then we go back to Coach and Brittany and Mercedes having their threesome. He fucking Mercedes, and Mercedes is kissing Brittany. And next thing you know, Brittany get her ass all the way in there and get the plan with Mercedes for JJ. And that's what really get Mercedes riled up. And that's when she really get the moaning and groaning. And Coach looking like, the fuck is going on here? They start kissing each other, and at some point he just gets the fuck off the bed because he sees that he is not wanted nor needed. So old girl ends up bringing Mercedes to climax. They holding hands and shit, and he's like, what the fuck has been going on here? I know when two hoes been fucking before. So So the wife get up and like, yes, I like pussy. We've been together 19 years and you ain't never know that. It's always about you. When am I gonna get to have fun too? What about my dreams? What about my career? And then here go Mercedes ass capping for her Thompson. Yeah, what about her career? Mercedes, if you don't shut the fuck up, girl, what in the hell is you doing? So then he tell her to get her whole ass the fuck up out of there. He was like, get out of here, you backwoods hoe. Child, that shit had me hollering. So she was like, you owe me my 40 stacks. Okay? And so he was like, I ain't giving you shit. And Brittany was like, coach, that's not fair. So then coach goes over there and starts counting up the money. So I'm thinking he gonna give her the money. She's standing there. And then next thing you know, Brittany hands her shoes. And so she looking at this bitch like, really, hoe? After I just stood up for you, that's what it is? I'm like, duh, bitch, you was nothing but a plaything for her. Somebody to munch on. Like, you really was catching feelings for this hoe. Why would you ever even trust her? She already told you she couldn't believe she was over here crying in front of a stripper. What the fuck did you think it was? So then next thing I know, this bitch walks out without the money. I'm like, you just left without the bag? What is you doing? Huh? I was mind blown that her character left without the money. Bitch, we gonna fight. You gonna give me my motherfucking money. I'm gonna put all this shit on blast. You got like fucked to the up. Because I would have made sure I had some insurance on his ass. If I had to blackmail him, you gonna give me my 40 stacks. 40 stacks, nigga? Nah, bruh. So then we see Roulette sitting outside in her car. She still, I think like she was waiting on Whisper to come out to make sure she was okay. But Duffy ended up pulling up on her, flirting with her, telling her she the most beautiful girl. And she was like, nah, I know you lying. And so she get out the car and she was like, look, I fucks with you, but I'm a hoe though. And I was like, I fucks with Whisper because she like, shit, nigga, you either gonna take me as I am or not. And Duffy was like, shit, ain't that a coincidence? I'm a hoe too. I was like, yes, if this ain't ghetto love, yes, sir. And then he ended up kissing her, and I'm feeling Duffy and Roulette. I am so feeling them as a couple. I want to see this happen. Yes. So then we see Keyshawn back at the crib waiting on Derek to come home. She got the gun in her hand. He's walking in the house. She trying to amp herself up to shoot this nigga, but she still can't do it. And that just goes to show how much abused victims care more about their abuser than their own situation. Like, she still, after everything he's done to her, after what he's done to her son, she still can't find it in herself to hurt him or to be free of him. So she ends up putting the gun up. He come in asking her, how her night been and saying how a good time he had. Child, oh Lord. Like, the fact that this nigga even confident enough to go to sleep next to her at night, because baby, I would have been killed this nigga. I would have been poisoned him, something. This nigga would have been gone. I still stand on the fact that I do think something is going to end up propelling her to eventually finally kill him. It's going to be another beating. It's going to be something of him doing something to them kids, but she is going to kill this nigga. I'm back on she's going to kill him. I'm back on that, especially after tonight's episode. I don't see Shannon's character being killed off now, but then again, you never know. But I'm still going to stick with, I think she's going to end up killing Derek. So then we see Woody on the phone with Murda telling him that Tina want him to come perform with him. So he hyped, he excited. Wody get out the car. I mean, not Wody. Teak gets out the car and Lil Murda think he going to get like some weed or whatever. But then we see him going to the house and it's a trap house. Like, it's straight up crackheads and everything in the house. And he's having flashbacks of his past and a bunch of screaming and hollering and kids getting beat on. And then he opens this door and he sees a little version of himself with blood on himself. Now back in the car, Wody makes a comment to Lil Murda that Teak can't come back on tour with them. And Murda was like, nah, we can't do that. He just got out of jail. He like, look, dude, I'm looking out for your best benefit now that roamed and OD'd. And he was like, it's mighty funny. You know how he OD'd. And Wody was like, shit, you could have took care of it, or either I'm going to take care of it. And then they end up getting disconnected because Murda didn't have no more service. So back inside the house, Lil Murda ended up walking up on Teak and like, dude, why would you be walking up in a trap house without your glizzy, without your, your Glock or whatever? And so he then put the Glock behind him, and he was like, shit, all right, I'm good or whatever. So they end up leaving. And when they get outside, Murda asks, what was you in there looking for? And he was like, dude, that used to be my house. And Murda was like, used to be. After tonight, we putting all this shit behind us. We going on tour. Fuck all of this shit. And so they end up getting in the car and ski skirting. Then we go back to the masquerade party, and Autumn sees a lady by the name of Georgie Baston getting dropped off to the party. And so she then escorts the lady to the cigar room, and they looking at her, Corbin and Andre, like, how the fuck this bitch get back in here? She like a roach that won't die. So Autumn then puts Bill, the guy that had the Promised Land deal, on blast by saying, he was only trying to pay the Pynk $40K. Wouldn't that be something if like CNN caught wind that he was trying to take advantage of black property? And so that really make him look crazy. So then Autumn ends up introducing herself as Lakeisha Savage to Miss Baston and requests that she get that $10 million for the Pynk because she's the owner. So Miss Baston was like, okay, me and you gonna talk, home girl. I like you. And we now know that she will be the one in charge of running this whole Promised Land thing because she is adamant about bringing the casino to Chucalissa. So Miss Georgie is about to be a mess, and I'm liking her. She's giving me a Suzanne Sugar Baker vibe. I'm living for it. So then over at Clifford's house, he checks Ernestine, his grandmother's blood sugar. Her blood sugar is normal, so he's wondering why is she over here sweating profusely and coughing and everything. He takes her temperature, and she has 102-degree fever. So then he calls Toy to see how Toy is feeling. Toy get on the phone coughing and heaving. He was like, I knew it wasn't no fucking allergy. So now he knows that his grandmother has coronavirus. And I'm like, goddamn, Granny gonna die from corona. God damn it, Granny gonna die from fucking coronavirus. And that's either gonna push him and Murda farther away from each other, or it's going to bring them further back together. I'm guessing with Murda's career blowing up, he's gonna go back on the road at some point. Cliff got all this shit going on at the club. I'm picturing his grandmother dying. I think that they're going to be separated again. I really do. I really honestly think that they're going to be separated again, but maybe this time they're going to be together and try to work it out. But I don't know if distance is going to hurt them again. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want it to be that way, but I see it being that way. So then Andre returns home. He on the phone with Corbin. Corbin talking cash shit about Autumn. And next thing you know, he see Autumn in his crib. So he like, Corbin, I'm gonna call you back. So this bitch done broke into his house, and he goes off on her ass and tells her that she is selfish and everything she do is for her and she don't care about how it affects other people. And he tell her to get the fuck out. But before she leaves, he makes it a fact, makes it known to her that he let her win the bid. Like he could have outbid her. So she was like, you have the power. You sure did. You have the power. What do you want me to do, sir? And at this point, I knew they was about to get on their freaky deaky shit when she was calling him sir and being subservient to him in a dom, him being in the dominant position and her being, the submissive person. So he catch on and he was like, shit, take off your dress. She takes off her dress. And she was like, what else you want me to do, sir? He was like, crawl. She was like, crawl? He was like, yeah, crawl. So she crawled over to him. And she was like, what's next, sir? And he was like, I'm like, yo, pussy ass. So she stand up. And the song Bad by Wale plays. And as soon as that beat drop, her panties drop. And I was like, y'all better synchronize this shit. Next thing you know, they in the room smashing. Finally, Autumn and Andre have had sex. Hallelujah. We don't have to deal with that no more. Then we see Murda and Teak at the lake, sitting on top of the car, spitting rhymes. They spitting Outkast songs and shit. I love that scene. It was just so dope. The visuals of it, the atmosphere. seeing two black men basking in the culture of rap. It was just dope. And it was like two brothers, but they're lovers at the same time. And so then Teak spit a rhyme, but he kind of like sing rap it, and Murda like, whose song was that? He was like, nigga, it was yours. He was like, man, that's some slaw. He was like, no, that's one of the rhymes you wrote me in jail. And so he looking like, damn, like I wrote that, like the fuck. So Murda then blames himself for getting Big Teak in the hole, because he makes a comment. He was like, you ain't been right ever since then. And so Teak was like, you think that was my first time being in the hole? And so he then goes on to explain what happened to him as a youngster and how his mother flipped out and stabbed one of her kids in the head, stabbed another one. She did something to one of the other kids. Meanwhile, he was in the closet hiding. And he was like, you know, my story was supposed to end that night. And he was like, you think these tattoos on my face is for how many people I killed? No, this is for, and he names all of his siblings. And I was like, oh, Lord Jesus. So then Teak was like, where you want me to drop you off? He back on that, where you want me to drop you off shit. And Murda was like, I ain't leaving. I already know you about to be in your head and shit, so I'm gonna stay with you the whole night. He like, dude, where you want me to drop you off at? At this point, they're sitting back in the car. And Murda was like, I'm not going nowhere tomorrow. You going on tour with me. Like, I don't know what the fuck you on, nigga, but I ain't going nowhere. So Teak then pull out the gun and puts it to his head. And at this point, we all know what's about to happen. He's about to off himself. And Teak was like, ain't no more light for me. I was supposed to been gone years ago. And Murda like, I ain't going nowhere. Like, I'm not leaving you. Like, dude, don't do this. We supposed to be going on tour. Like, I got you. Like, I see the light in you. Boy, when he said, I see the light in you, boy, he acted the fuck out of that goddamn scene. And he was adamant, I'm not getting out this car. No matter how much Big Teak begged him to get out the car, he would not get out the car. So then Big Teak was like, HVH for life. And Murda was like, for life. And he just staring at him. And the next thing we know, we heard a gun blast. And Teak is gone. And Murda gets out the car, bloody. And he throws up. And he's just panting. And he's like in shock that Teak lost his life. And I knew from Teak's character's first episode that he was, you know, off. There he was, you know, had PTSD. Could have even been manic depressive, bipolar or something. Like, his character had a lot of shit with him. I never expected for his character to off himself. Like I told you guys, I thought that he was going to end up doing something to Cliff because of his mental instabilities. I never expected for him to do it to himself, but I knew that nigga was going to try to off somebody. Just didn't expect for it to be himself. So Big Teak is gone, y'all. And I cried. And cause I was like, this is so sad. Like, and when this scene was happening, my mind went directly to Monica, the singer. Remember how when Monica was younger and her ex-boyfriend offed himself at the graveyard in front of her? And I'm like, how do you live with that? Seeing somebody off themselves in front of you. Like, that's some shit, boy. Woo! So then we see Mercedes at home sitting just fucked up in the head over everything that happened that night. She take her wig off and there's bamming at the door. She goes to the door and it's Terica, and Terica's huffing and puffing. She like, what are you doing here? Terica walks in the house and pulls out a goddamn pregnancy test. Her little hot ass is pregnant, and the cycle is repeating itself, and she just falls into Mercedes' arms crying. And now Mercedes is faced with the fact that everything that she tried to keep her daughter away from ended up happening anyway. And it ended up happening anyway because this little girl was left to her own devices, not only by her mother, but by Shell too. Her daddy's gone. Like, the little girl was just doomed. And I'm like, Lord Jesus, what is about to happen with this? Then we see banging on the door over at Cliff's house. Ernestine walking down the step to go answer the door. She's still coughing and stuff. And I knew immediately who it was. So she goes and opened the door and she was like, "Is that you, Daddy?" And that line right there let us know that she is going home to glory soon. The fact that she thought that whoever was at the house was her father, but it's Murda. So Clifford comes down to, check on his grandmother and sees Murda on the porch, and he has blood all over his tracksuit. And he was like, he just looking at Cliff, and Cliff looking at him, and he like, "I'm not okay." And he just bust out and started crying and fell into Cliff's arms. And Cliff just holds him and brings him into the house. And the episode went off. Baby, I love the way they mirrored Terica falling into Mercedes' arms with the whole shock of her being pregnant. Then to see Murda fall into Cliff's arm with the shock of this man arriving at my doorstep after months of me not seeing him with blood all over him. So obviously some shit that went down. So like I said, now we're going to be dealing with Lil Murda, dealing with the death of Teak and him offing himself in front of him and having to explain all of this to Clifford, which in anybody's situation, you're going to feel sympathy and be there for your partner. But then to also on the flip side know that you have feelings for this person and been dealing with this person while we was on our break. Like, it's so many different emotions that can come out of a person, dealing with that. So, that's going to fuck up Lil Murda's head. And that's why I said, even though he went to Clifford, I still feel like there's going to be strain there between them because of how everything went down. The fact that he was dealing with Big Teak this whole time since he got out of jail. And then, like I said, Ernestine is going to end up dying. Cliff is going to be dealing with that. That's his only family that he has left. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess. Like I said, I feel like they're going to come together, but all of the different factors are still going to be pulling them apart. So I'm excited to see where the next 4 episodes are going to go. There will be no new episode next Saturday. It won't be back until the week after. So we'll have a break next week. And honestly, I need a break after tonight's episode. Overall, I give tonight's episode an A++, honey. And I barely do that ever. But this episode was written exquisitely. Everything from A to Z was phenomenal. Everybody need a raise over there at P-Valley. Wonderful, impactful episode. Let's talk about it down below in the comment section, you guys. Make sure to thumbs up this video, like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell button. I love you all, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.